mean old woman gets the train home that I am a lover of cheap old automobiles. I had recently scored an 80s Dodge pickup in slight need of repair. So after a few repairs it was roadworthy. But with the addition of a 3-bell train hub mounted to a 3-gallon air compressor and tank for the big rig feel. Now I don't look for a reason to use the hub as it actually hurts my ears to use it. But sometimes people need a louder second indicator they're in the wrong. So this story begins with me driving the old Dodge and coming up to a red stoplight. A single white Ford Focus is already sitting there. As I pull up behind, the driver's arms start flailing. I'm thinking they're on the phone and doing the Italian thing and talking with hands. Given I'm easily 8 behind the car and not bumper thumping or anything to aggravate the driver. Well, the light turns green and the driver moved about 3 forward. I had reacted to the driver and light. So now I'm stuck too close to the bumper and can't go around, arms flying again. Clearly this person is pissed about something, but I have no clue what. I give a slight hum hog, original hum still works, to indicate that myself and about 10 others are stuck behind this person. She moves forward another 5 and jumps on the brakes, same as last time I thought we were going and not playing games. So I'm stuck on her bumper again and can't go around. This time everyone behind me is pissed and honking like crazy. I give and I let a few normal hum honks go to say it's not just me or screwing over. We're also sitting in the middle of the intersection at this point. Driver is now super upset about something and starts blasting the bird out the car window. Well, now I've had enough. I flip the red aircraft's tile switch cover and arm the horn, and then release all 110 decibels of train hub fury upon this poor soul who picked the wrong car to mess with today. She quickly floored it through the intersection and made it all of about a 1/4 mile before she started driving irrationally again. This time slowing to a turtle's pace, I'm guessing to allow the line of traffic through the intersection. I don't fall prey to the start-stop games again and go to the shoulder to pass. As I get up next to her I see a little hunched over old woman flipping me off. Whoops. Blasted the horn again as soon as I saw the finger. Now proudly in front I drive off to hopefully never see such a shitty driver for a few weeks at the least. Be careful what you ask for. Seen years ago, pre-digital records. My ex and I parted ways after several years of fighting. We were trying to be civil due to the kicks. 3 months after I kicked him out, I put together a package of papers I thought he might want. I had them in a large manila envelope. When he dropped off the kids, I met him at the door to give it to him. Here you go, handing it out. X. What's that? Stepping back, looking like it's a snake. Me. I found some papers that I thought you might want. X. There's nothing here that I want. Me. I really think. X. You think. I don't care what you think. Me. You don't even want to look. X. I already told you. You have nothing I want. Me. What do you expect me to do with them? X. I don't care. Do whatever you like. Throw them away. Burn them. Just leave me alone. Me. As he is walking away, I think you are making a mistake. X. I already made the mistake 7 years ago. Referencing wedding date a few weeks later. I did have a fire in the fireplace. Oh, what was in the envelope, you ask? Card titled HS Diploma, HS Transcript, College Transcript, Letter from the White House, DD 214, last surviving proof of service. Original records were destroyed in a fire. Pictures, school and his childhood. Pictures have in my safe for the kids. Divorce decree, first wife, child support papers, also first wife, birth certificate. Is about 6 months later. He asked if I had seen one of them. Fired me, then try not to pay unemployment. Note that I had worked on and off again as a graphic designer with the same quick printing company starting in 1989. Sometimes I'd be a part-timer, other times I'd work a 40-hour week. Through the years I knew that the owners were jerks, but I met some great people there and I actually learned a lot. In 2005 I was working there full-time when I became pregnant with my second child. At about the time I was starting to show, I tried to get some time with the owners to talk about getting my hours reduced. But they were always too busy to talk. The owners asked me to visit a client at their site to talk to them about an upcoming project that I'd be designing for them. This was unusual, since quick printing companies usually operate on a walk-in basis. But I went anyway because the project sounded much more interesting than the business cards, forms, and letterheads I designed day in and day out. The meeting went well. During the meeting, I told the client that I wanted to wrap the project up in 2 weeks, since after that I would be dropping to part-time. He said, fine, and I went back to the shop to let the owners know how the meeting went. I mentioned to them about telling the client that I wanted to go to part-time work and asked if we could talk about it soon. The owners said, okay, we'll talk tomorrow. The next day, I got into work and was settling in when I was asked to join the owners in the conference room. I went in, shut the door, and then all hell broke loose. They asked me how I could dare tell a client something like that. They accused me of trying to take the client for myself and not working through their print shop. They concluded by telling me that I couldn't be trusted and I was fired. I was not to turn on my computer. The only thing I was to do was get all of my belongings and leave. So I went back to my desk and started boxing up my things. Petty revenge number 1. I had a bunch of plants in the window. Over the years, the constant watering had ruined the windowsill. Hectares. Moving on, I decided to file for unemployment. I was told I'd have to meet with a case officer in an office that was about an hour away. No problem, I went in to meet with him. When I got there, I saw that the owners weren't there, which was strange. The case officer and I waited for a little while, then we had to start without them. So I was able to tell him my side of the story, about how a 16-year employee got unfairly fired based on a false accusation and how I hadn't been allowed to defend myself. He took notes the entire time. About a week later, I got notice of another appointment. When I got there, I saw one of the owners in the waiting room and observed that she had logged up. The case officer called us all into his office. He pulled out a file and started referring to his notes from the first appointment. What first appointment? Barked the owner. The one you missed, responded the case officer. He read aloud all of the things I had told him, then awarded me the unemployment compensation. Petty revenge number 2. I get unemployment compensation. Owner needlessly spent money on a lawyer and wasted a day driving to and back from a faraway unemployment office. We parted ways and I haven't been back since. Petty revenge number 3. After all this happened, the client contacted me. Turns out he liked me so much that he hired me to do the project with him after all. Hope I didn't ruin your breakfast plan, Doc. This one is short and sweet. Last year I was living in London working on my master's degree. Due to the fact that I was an American international student, it was easiest to get a room with university housing, which would then mean I would live with a bunch of freshers in my flat. Since I already knew about the glories and pains of university living, I was prepared for the worst, though I was not prepared to live with 7 other people under the age of 20. I was in a flat of 8 other people and we shared 2 fridges between the 8 of us. As to be expected by any communal living situation with people that you don't know, things, mostly food, would start to go missing. I started getting petty by putting what I could in my bedroom, including all of my cooking utensils. I hoarded those like a dragon hoards its gold. However, some things couldn't be protected. One time when I did my shop, I decided I wanted to get eggs to make for breakfast. I seldom cook eggs, so this was a rarity for me. Since I'm an American, I put my eggs in the fridge, unlike most Europeans that I have met. This made them subject to our food thief. When I went to make breakfast the next day, I was missing an egg in my carton, which aggravated me irrationally. I decided to change my mind from what my breakfast would be and decided to ruin someone else's breakfast instead. So, alternatively, I decided to hard-boil all of my eggs and put them back in my carton while I enjoyed something else for breakfast. The next day, I saw one of my hard-boiled eggs cracked open in the garbage and later overheard one of the girls I lived with complain about how her breakfast plans were ruined because she couldn't cook her surprise breakfast for her boyfriend because she couldn't find any eggs. Sumo is Alex's boyfriend. The first girl I ever dated in high school left me for this degenerate scrawny morning. They lorded it over me and sat next to me in classes the whole year. The guy made sure to talk about how he liked plucking her when I was near him and how she'd scream as he bent her over the kitchen counter and hid. They'd sit near me in class too and I couldn't change seats. I don't interact with them as much as I can, but being forced to sit near them in class is messing with my head and putting me in a bad place. It's plucking miserable and I can't study well when I have to look at the back of her head for an hour each day. Fast forward to the end of the year. The National Guard sponsors a graduation party with a sumo wrestling setup. You know, where you get put in a fat suit with a helmet. Everybody goes. I see Mormon in line for sumo with the theater kid. I pay the theater kid $10 to take his place and wait in line with this ducker. I don't say anything to him. 3 rounds with this guy felt better than flex. My ex was even watching her boyfriend get pummeled. On the first point, I got on top of him and picked up his head and slammed him down 3 times hard as I could. Turns out he got his wisdom teeth just taken out, so it probably hurt like a motherfather. I win 3-0 and strip off the fat suit and leave. The National Guard basically have to pull me off them, but they get a kick out of how brutal my sumo game was. My ex and her toxic friends watch the whole time, but I don't look at them. I walk away and never see them again. Thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you on next video.